From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Cascade Paint & Supply is Reading's oldest family-owned paint store, established in 1953. We are the largest Dunn Edwards dealer in the nation, and most of our products are made in the U.S. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff are ready to answer your questions and help you today.
Well, believe it or not, the coldest air has not moved in today. It's going to be moving in tonight and really through the weekend. The coldest air will be here on Sunday, but we'll really feel that impact with those colder temperatures even for your Saturday. So significantly cooler this weekend. I mean, we're going from the 80s that we've seen in the valley to the mid to upper 50s. I think we'll struggle to even get into the 60s for many of us in the valley as we go through the weekend. Now, most of the rain will be tomorrow, especially for the first half of the day. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to see any on Sunday, but that's when I think most of the rain for all of Northern California will be here. Some of us will see a lot more rain, and not to mention snow, as we go into Sunday, a lot more than others. So again, it's going to be more widespread, better chances tomorrow, and then kind of decreasing through the day on Sunday. Also looking at a chance for thunderstorms on Saturday. We'll show you where the biggest chances are. Looks to be mainly north and east of the valley, and then minor impacts on those mountain highways. But that being said, there will be chain requirements, especially east of I-5. And maybe, I don't think I-5 will have chain requirements around Mount Shasta or north, getting closer to the Oregon state line, but Highway 89 east of I-5 could see some chain requirements, and not to mention 36 west of I-5. Highway 299, of course, we'll take a closer look at that here in just a bit here, but snow levels could drop down to as low when they're at their lowest Saturday night into Sunday morning, around 3,500 feet. Here's your neighborhood forecast at a glance. Everyone's got the wet weather. It's going to be a wet day tomorrow, and cooler too. The valley, you're lucky if you get in the upper 50s, honestly. It's going to be a cold day. Trinity County, low 50s. Snow level's still fairly high, between 5,000 and 6,000 feet. So the coldest air, as I mentioned, won't be here until Saturday night and into Sunday. Now, you don't see any lightning strikes there, but there could be some lightning strikes in eastern Siskiyou County, Modoc County, and even some of the eastern mountains, especially, say, in northern Lassen County. But chances for thunderstorms elsewhere will be slimmer. All right, let's get you out the door. Maybe many of you just want to get a quick glance at the forecast. If you want a lot more detail, stick around after your fly through here, but we'll take a look at your forecast here for tomorrow. Temperatures are going to be in the low 50s for many of us in Trinity County. As you can see, we're drying out by Monday, but what we're seeing here for the North Coast are temperatures mid to upper 50s. Showers heaviest on Saturday, more on Sunday, drying out and warming up slightly, getting toward the end of next week. 61 degrees out towards Smith River, 56 in Crescent City for your Saturday. And there you can see Orleans about 59 and 62 degrees in Willow Creek. We take you out to Siskiyou County with 63 for Happy Camp, 57 for Fort Jones, and 55 degrees out in Gazelle. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, about 55 for Tule Lake, 58 for Calpines, and there's Eagleville with a high of about 65 degrees. Of course, looking at the off and on showers for the weekend, heavy at times, and some snow down to 3,500 feet at times, especially by Saturday night into Sunday morning. Here's your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast for your Saturday. Temperatures mainly in the 50s. One of the warmer spots, Westwood, that might be overdoing it. You're probably more like the mid-50s, quite honestly. 50 in Shingletown, 51 degrees for Paradise, and Chester, about 51 degrees. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast, brought to you by NorCal Tractor. Yeah, those temperatures are much, much cooler than you'll be dealing with here. Temperatures in the mid, maybe some upper 50s in there, and taking it northward out towards Whiskeytown, a high of 51, 56 for the city of Shasta Lake, and 57 for Cottonwood. A little bit cooler on Sunday, but yeah, we warm back up going into Monday through the end of next week, and it will be dry through all of next week as well. All right, let's talk about a little bit more detail, where the rain is, when we expect the rain. So the area of low pressure through the day today has been shifting southward. So that's no big surprise there. That will be then taking a hard turn to the right or to the east, right? And that's when we start to see some of the heavier rainfall making its way here by tomorrow morning and through at least midday. And it kind of turns into scattered showers Saturday afternoon, maybe some thunderstorms, especially in the mountains. And then Sunday morning, the flow around that low will keep the chance for rain in there and snow. This is when the coldest air will be in place. Snow down to as low as 3,500 feet. And then, of course, as we go into Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, the chances for rain begin to diminish as that low pressure system begins to move out. Then we go into Monday, and we will dry things out entirely for all of Northern California. And then, of course, taking you through next week, what we've got here is this. You see this storm system right here? Now, this particular forecast model keeps that colder air in this, what we call a trough, in place through all of next week. That's colder air, but we have warmer air to our south and west. We're kind of in between the two of them, so it won't be terribly cold, it won't be terribly warm, it'll be just right, quite honestly, with temperatures mainly in the low, eventually maybe some mid-70s. So it is going to be more mild, a lot warmer going through next week, and not to mention a lot drier as well. Let's take a look at the severe outlook. Now, this is what I was talking about. So here's what I'm expecting. Tomorrow morning, we may see some clearing in these areas right here. That's key to the potential for thunderstorms because the colder air is moving in, so we'll have colder air aloft. If we get that clearing in the morning, that will allow that heat to rise into the colder air aloft, and we see thunderstorms begin to develop as a result. Now, the reason it's not this far south is because as we go through tonight and into tomorrow, it will be overcast for all the areas outside of the shaded areas shaded in green. It'll be overcast, and not to mention wet as well. So we're not going to have the ability or the chance to see any of that convective thunderstorm activity to develop. Now, could we see a stray thunderstorm for areas outside of this green? It's not out of the question, but this is where we're going to have the best setup for the potential for those thunderstorms tomorrow. So let's take a look at that. We'll take a look at Futurecast. So here you can see by tonight, see that? This is that clearing I was talking about. We've also got this line of rain that's kind of moving westward. So what's going to happen is as we go overnight tonight, we're going to begin to see it fill in from the south. Right? So you've got the rain for the valley. Now, this is not terribly heavy rainfall, by the way. It's going to be kind of that situation in the morning where it's kind of that steady drizzle, light rain that we'll probably see through a good portion of the morning tomorrow, with maybe some heavier rainfall off to the east. By the way, snow levels down about 4,500 to 5,500 feet. So again, this is what I was talking about. You see the breaks in the clouds here? This is key, again, to that forecast. This is going to allow us to see that convection I was talking about. But where we're not going to see the convection is here. And that's why we don't expect thunderstorms to develop, but it's not out of the question for a stray thunderstorm. Notice, too, it's fairly dry for most of Siskiyou and not to mention Del Norte County early tomorrow morning. But then as we go through the day on Saturday, look what happens. We're still seeing that steady rainfall for most of us in the valley. It could pick up in intensity at times through the morning in the valley, just not terribly heavy. But now we're beginning to see the potential for those thunderstorms developing here to the north and east. And look at Del Norte County. Really, at this point, still not a lot of rain. Yeah, you could see some showers through the first half of the day on Saturday, but most of it will be to the south into Humboldt County, and not to mention Trinity County. Still, snow levels between 4,500 5,500 feet. Then we start getting more caught up in that flow coming around that area of low pressure, and now it looks like bulk of the activity is in Modoc and in eastern Siskiyou County. And again, we could be looking at the potential for thunderstorms in this area. That was that area shaded in green I was showing you. Some of those could be making their way into parts of western Siskiyou County as well. But notice we're not seeing as much rain to the south and west of that. So we're not as in that kind of that main flow around the area of low pressure. That's where the bulk of the precipitation will be. Snow level still fairly high. You can see here between 4,500 and 5,500 feet. Now we're going to take you into Saturday night and into Sunday morning. So we're still getting that flow around that area of low pressure, and that main flow is right here. All right, so this is when I expect some of the coldest air to be in place. This is when we'll see snow levels maybe as low as 3,500 feet and locally lower. So Alturas, yeah, I think you could see maybe a light dusting of snow. Places to the south of that, near Susanville, Bernie, you might see some snowflakes, but maybe more of a mix, as well as Mount Shasta City, maybe a bit of a mix as well. But this is when we're going to start running into problems with chain requirements here. Notice too, off along the coast, Del Norte, northern Humboldt County, you're getting caught within that flow around that area of low pressure, doing a little something like this. So the bulk of that rain is going to be up to the north, not as much in the valley. Now we take into the noon hour. You see how most of it, again, is off to the east. Could we see a stray thunderstorm? Not out of the question. But now we're beginning to see some warmer air begin to move in. Snow levels may start to climb a little bit, maybe closer to 4,000 or 4,500 feet by the time we get into the noon hour. But notice, not a lot of rain to the south, not a lot of rain for the coast. Then it will start to push southward. So through the afternoon, we may see better chances for showers for the valley. and eventually maybe making its way into parts of the North Coast as well. But you'll notice the trend by Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, it's beginning to break apart. And for the most part, by Sunday night into Monday, it's all pretty much gone at this point. We dry things out and warm things up by early next week. Now, we have a pretty good handle, I think, on Saturday's forecast, but if you have outdoor plans on Sunday, you saw a lot of areas that may not see rain. Be sure to tune in tomorrow. Meteorologist Brian Wilson will have the latest forecast model data for you coming in tomorrow evening, and not to mention on Sunday as well. So if you've got weekend plans, you're going to want to keep checking in to Weather NorCal with Brian Wilson just to double check to make sure everything is going to be okay for your outdoor event, because yeah, a lot of us are going to get rained out, especially on Saturday. Let's take a look at the forecast rainfall amounts, and you can see it's actually backed off from what I've been talking about earlier today. About 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch is a possibility for the valley. So I think on average, as I was thinking, about 1/2 of an inch, give or take, depending on where you are. And you'll notice it's kind of backed off in the amount of rainfall for the coast and the higher elevations, but that's where we're probably going to see the most amount of rainfall. I think we'll see most rain here, and not to mention off toward the north and to the west out near the coast. All right, let's take a look at the forecast snow. It's overdoing it in some areas. Nope, you're not going to see a drop you're not going to see one snowflake, not even mixed in Hayfork. I don't even think it's going to get mixed in Etna either. But Chester, Quincy, yeah, you might see a light dusting. You might see a little bit of accumulating snow in Alturas as well. Mount Shasta, maybe a bit of a mix, maybe a bit of a mix for Bernie. I don't think we're going to see a mix in Dunsmuir, although it may be close. Depends on how heavy it gets. But again, kind of overdoing it in some areas, but you get the idea. We're just not going to see a lot of snow in the mountain communities. You have to go up pretty high in elevation, around 4,000 or 5,000 feet, before you start seeing any significant snow. Now, speaking of snow and what that's going to mean for our impacts on travel, I think I-5 should be okay. There is going to be that brief period of time early Sunday morning where those snow levels may be low enough for a little bit of snow accumulation on the highway around I-5. But I think the roads may be just a little bit too warm for that. And if it does accumulate lightly, I think Caltrans will be able to keep it keep it clear for you. Highway 89, yeah, you could run into some issues there. Typical spot east of I-5 because you do have those higher mountain passes. But Highway 299 between Redding and Eureka along the coast, I think you're fine. I don't think you'll run into any chain requirements there, but maybe Highway 36 west of I-5, not to mention east of I-5, yeah, maybe some chain requirements, especially Saturday night and into Sunday. Okay, so let's talk about the temperatures, that roller coaster ride. So the coldest air today has been out to our west. Now, you can see as we go into Saturday and Sunday, that coldest air is over us. So now temperatures in the valley between 55 and 60 degrees. Big drop in our temperatures from what we'd experiencing, right? And then that moves out, and this warmer air is trying to move in. And as this colder air kind of slides down to the south and east, what we're going to see is kind of this battle between the warmer and cooler air. And that is going to keep our temperatures at bay, probably somewhere in the low to mid 70s. And by the end of next week, I'm seeing some signs of this ridge building in a little bit stronger based on the European forecast model. This forecast model keeps this colder air in place, so we'll see. But bottom line, next week, drier and much warmer than what we're going to see here over the weekend. I want to show you the temperature trend here for the valley, and for Redding in particular. Now, I just want to show you the trend. In the numbers, yes, they're accurate for Redding, but they're not going to be accurate for the mountains. But this is the overall trend for the mountains and for the valley, right? We're seeing a big dip in our temperatures through the weekend, and then we kind of moderate and warm things up and dry things out from Monday through Friday of next week. Now, I showed this to you the last few days. Someone who lives on the coast argued, well, why didn't you show the temperature trend for the coast? And I'm going to show you why. Let's take a look. That's why. Because we don't usually see these big spreads. What I was trying to tell you, and what I'm trying to tell you with, I'm going to take you back to this graphic. I'm trying to illustrate the big dip in the temperatures for most of us in Northern California, and then a nice increase in those temperatures for everyone, the valley, the mountains, and the foothills. But for the coast, you're not going to see that dip or big rise in the temperatures. You're going to keep it in the mid to upper 50s. Yes, you're seeing a gradual increase, but nothing all that noticeable. So that's the reason why I don't pull this map out a whole lot. I just wanted to show that trend of the big drop in the temperature and then kind of going back up again. All right, so that kind of explains that. Let's take a look at your wave heights. They are increasing through the day on Saturday, upwards around 9 to 10 feet as you start heading out to sea. And even though we're going to see a minor drop on Sunday, I do expect them to still be fairly high. So here's your marine forecast for your Saturday. Southeast winds at 5 to 10 knots, and those waves from the northwest at 8 feet at about 12 seconds. And we got those rain showers out over the ocean as well. Here's what it looks like tonight. Temperatures dropping down right around 50, give or take, for the valley, and for the mountains, upper 30s and low 40s. So yes, it is cooling off, despite the fact that it's going to be mainly mostly cloudy. However, we are going to see some of that clearing off to the north and east. So honestly, some of these temperatures may be colder than what you're seeing here. Mid 40s overnight for the coast. Let's take a look at your forecast here for tomorrow. Just kind of a quick glance here. We already saw the fly-through earlier, but I just wanted to show you mid to upper 50s for the valley. Looks like mainly in the upper 40s to low 50s for many of us in the higher elevations. And you can see here for the coast in the mid to upper 50s for those daytime highs. All right, so let's take a look at your 7-day outlook. And there you can see rain for Saturday. Now, again, the best chance for rain overall for everyone will be tomorrow. And then Sunday, most of the rain will be to the north of the valley, northeast of the valley, northwest of the valley through the first half of the day on Sunday. It'll shift southward through the day on Sunday. You'll see showers for everyone south of, say, places like Siskiyou County, Modoc County, and not to mention Delaware County. It'll shift southward through the day on Sunday. And then it dries out and warms up for Monday through Friday of next week.